I'd now like to move to our next speaker. Just before I introduce Tim Parker, can I remind you all, get your questions in, please. Take advantage of the fact that we've got the people in here. And get your questions in on the website, please. So Tim has a strong commercial and technical experience in the development and delivery of major infrastructure projects, going for more than 25 years of leading and developing teams on some of the world's largest projects. Tim has been involved in a range of mega transportation projects, including Hong Kong Airport, Epping to Chatswood Rail Link, CBD Metro, and more recently the North Connects Road Tunnel. He returned to Sydney Metro in 2015 and led the City and South West team before taking on the leadership role of the Projects Division. Welcome, Tim. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Look, real pleasure to be here today with the PWI. Always enjoy the PWI. Miss the banter of the crowd, and at least there's not too much fruit to be thrown at the end of this. So today we've got a little bit to get through, but it's a real pleasure. So without further ado, Sydney Metro, it is a mega project, circa $50 billion portfolio. We have three main components. We have the Northwest, which is already finished and up and running in 2019. This runs from Tallawong through to Chatswood. This is being extended at the moment for the project called the City and South West. That runs from Chatswood, underground all the way through the city to Sydenham, and then from Sydenham to Bankstown, which will involve the conversion of a 120-year-old railway line, the Bankstown Line, which I'll come back to. Our next project, which is now underway, is Metro West. Metro West runs from Westmead through to the CBD. It's a 25-kilometre underground driverless metro. Project is progressing really well. We have our approvals in place. We have our first major tunnelling contract awarded. The next one's in the door. We're currently under assessment. Again, a very, very big and exciting project. Last but of course not least is the Western Sydney Airport. This is a new railway that will serve the new airport. This will connect at St Mary's, it will run down to the new airport and then onto the new city at Aerotropolis. Again, a project that's only been going for a little while. We have two of the major tenders in and under assessment. So we have the tunnelling tender in, the major infrastructure, and yesterday we announced the shortlist for the major system services, operations and maintenance package. So again, that's where we are. So what I'd like to do this morning, I've got quite a few slides, which everyone said I wouldn't get through, so I'm going to try and go as quickly as I can to get through them, to show you something, what we've been up to. I think it's fair to say, I love the title Rail to Recovery. It's been a shocking year. Let's face it, it really has. In fact, shocking 2 years. How do we actually get out of this? And I think rail has a really important part to play and the mega project. So I'm just going to run you through some of the fantastic achievements the team have done despite COVID. Victoria Cross. This shows you probably one of the most iconic railway stations around. Not finished yet, but when people visit Victoria Cross, you'll see now why North Sydney will actually become part of the CBD. Fantastic station to support that really important business district. Again, a couple more. The photograph on the left is in the Cavern, the right is the main shaft. First in Australia, we will have lifts to serve our entrance from the northern. This is the one that serves multiple schools, about a 40-metre lift transportation to go down. Barangaroo. For those that don't know what's been going on, we relocated Barangaroo Hickson Road onto a bridge. This is what's happening underneath. This is the crossover cavern, which we've recently completed and handed over. Again, a fantastic achievement. Very, very difficult conditions down there to build in. Cavern's now been completed, concreted, and handed over to the fit-out contractor. Crow's Nest. For those that go past Crow's Nest, off the Pacific Highway, an awful lot's going on in the hole. Some of the major beams that are just being assembled there for erection shortly. Central Station. This is a few months ago. Central Station looks nothing like this anymore. The Central Station, for programme and because of building in the heart of the busiest railway, we did a top-down construction for the station. So instead of building the box and the tunnelling coming through, we let the tunnelling come through first and then we dropped the box on top of the tunnelling. Haven't done that before. It worked really, really well. It gave us the ability to get the station, all the surface work done whilst the tunnellers were busy underground. Again, a really good outcome. Waterloo Station. Again, very similar to Crow's Nest. large hole in the ground currently coming out. Very pleased to announce we've just got the track access. At the moment on the City and South West, to give you an idea of progress, 80% of the track has been laid, 80%. So one of the key things now is to actually get through some of the stations. We've recently just got access at Waterloo. Fantastic job by the men and women working on that project day and night. Western Sydney Airport, again, early works have started. We're expanding the St Mary's commuter car park. We're very lucky. Someone who built it earlier recognised that maybe you need to expand it and put the foundations in suitable for an extra 2 stories. So we're getting on and doing that. We're also doing a lot of utilities and site investigations. What's interesting about Western Sydney Airport, unlike the city projects, we're looking for utilities rather than trying to avoid them. So that's another different thing that we're doing out there. Metro West, again, we've awarded the tunnelling, major tunnelling contract. That will run from Bays through to Sydney Olympic Park. We're currently done a lot of work at Bays, so we can actually get that underway. And we're hoping to see activity starting before the end of the year at Bays, which will be the site of the first tunnel launch, which will be done by the end of next year. I'm just going to run a short video of the Bankstown Line now, which I think, and I'll then talk a little bit more about it. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I thought the music was good, but I thought maybe there's something, a different type of music would have been better. So I think we may have something. Okay, we'll move on. That was just an idea. So hopefully you enjoyed the Mission Impossible music, and that's really what this was, the challenge. It's a 126-year-old line. How do you convert that to a modern Geo4? This is a really unique project. This is difficult. It requires the best in the business around the rail. We've actually got to take this railway, convert it, and one of the major problems is we had to do an awful lot of work. So most of the platforms needed rebuilding. Anyone that knows that line, it's one of those lines, it's not a new line. There's businesses, there's residential close by. So we made the decision, we're going to close the line for 2 weeks. We're going to work 24/7. Now when people say 24/7, everyone goes, really? This was 24/7. This was day and night. We had to put in a temporary transport plan. Again, notwithstanding it was COVID, this was in one of those sort of rare periods of recovery where people were actually using the railway, so we had to put in a comprehensive plan. We also had to manage the community. There's one thing doing work during the day, and there's one thing about doing work in the night over a weekend. For 2 weeks, our comms teams, our delivery partners did a fantastic job. So I'm just going to run through a few slides just to give you an immensity of the work, which is sort of quite incredible. So the shutdown, just equipment alone, huge amount. Every equipment from all over the state was brought in to move things. You can see here the number of people. Again, we're working in a COVID-safe environment. but again, just the quantity of people on those sites and the amount of work happening. 18 platforms were demolished and rebuilt in that period. Community, this is Canterbury. You can't get closer than this. The great thing is we enjoy the community support. Yes, we have issues, but they were fantastic and worked really closely with us. Again, another example here. This is in the middle of the night. Of course, work going on, heavy rock breaking. Again, people were very, very understanding of what we had to do. Some statistics. We were engineers, we love numbers. 18,500 tons of material. And then we had to replace 18,000 putting back. So again, huge material movements. 233,000 hours worked, 1,800 people. I mean, the logistics, I must admit, the coffee shops did love us in that area for 2 weeks. They did great business. And as I said, bacon and egg rolls all day long was just, they went gangbusters. Concrete, you name it. We put in nearly 3,000 cubic meters of concrete. And again, it wasn't just done during the day, it was day and night. Fantastic achievement by the team. 486 precast units, these are for platforms. Again, all pre-built, had to arrive on site on time, lorries, deliveries, craning them in. Again, here, this isn't an artistic shop, this was in the middle of the night bringing them in. Again, just to try and minimize the impact to the community. 3 new crossovers installed and wired, 300 meters of track, 0.5 kilometers of overhead wiring, 140 track welds. And of course, for all those that work on possession work, it rained. Boy, oh boy, did it rain for a couple of days, but the guys kept going. So again, a great achievement for the workers there. 10 kilometers of cable containment and ducts, all put in this period. 376 piles. So that was the Bankstown Line. I think from my point of view, I can only thank our delivery partners, station contractors, the Lang O'Rourke's, the John Hollands doing the works. A really, really amazing achievement. And it's a sign of what our industry can do when it sets its mind to it. What I wanted to do in the last few minutes is talk about some of the things that I've seen going on. And one of them is innovation. As an industry, we often get referred to as old-fashioned. I think that's a bit unkind. I think we're actually very innovative. But I want to talk about one of the things we're doing just as an example. On the Northwest Rail Link, we introduced platform screen doors. The first in Australia, they are used elsewhere. I think what a lot of people don't appreciate about Australia is that we have one of the highest, most rigorous DDA compliance requirements. And so when you get onto a London tube, I think they have t-shirts saying mind the gap, or try not to let your child fall in the gap. There's various t-shirts. Our standard is a height difference of no more than 12 millimeters. That's about that much. And a gap of no more than 40 mil. It is the highest standard anywhere in the world. And what's great is it's been achieved on the Northwest. That's fantastic. But we're going to apply the same standard to a 126-year-old railway. So what we're doing is, one solution was to knock everything down and build straight platforms. That is a solution. What we're looking at now is we're keeping the curvature of the line. That's simply because it's in good shape. Why would we change it? And we're going to be using not only platform screen doors, but we're going to be using gap fillers. We're currently out to tender, so I can't say who's won the contract, but we've got 3 leading suppliers. And the interesting thing is that these aren't new to the rail industry. They just haven't been adopted very often. We've got 3 suppliers. One's from Switzerland, one's from Japan, and one's from Korea. They are used in Korea and Japan. And again, this is an area that we haven't done before, but we see as fundamentally changing, not just in Australia, but around the world, getting rid of that infamous gap problem. So again, that's some work that we're doing, and we're very excited by it. The new norm. Gosh, what does a new norm look like? It's very difficult to imagine. I took John's comments, Teams. I'd read about it, I'd heard about it, I never knew how to use it. And if you work in government, you can imagine someone in government saying, we want everyone to work from home. And you'd have your subcommittees, you'd probably have about 2 years of consultation. 3 days later, you're working from home using this new program called Teams. Remarkable, the whole industry did it. And we've worked how to use it. Again, for us, it's been really interesting. the hybrid model. Even when we came back to the office, we still had a lot of people working from home. Working out the way you work. How do you talk to someone when you're in the room and they're on Teams? Getting people to think differently. How do you present well on these things? And also how to keep staff engaged. You know, we've had Teams trivia nights, Teams cocktail, or we've even got one of our teams does team cooking, which is quite bizarre. But it's trying to keep that environment. If you're not there together, how do we keep people together? International collaboration. This is something that I did recently. I got this invite. Would you like to be on the panel for High Speed 2 Learning Legacy? And I thought perhaps there was a ticket to London, but not in this environment. So again, I went along. You can see me there. I actually had a tie on that day, which was pretty good. It was at midnight. I had jammies on below, but I had my tie on up top. But again, it gave us an opportunity to contribute to an international. And I was really proud. You know, it's an Australian, and we were the international flavour about what our mega project's doing and how we can help them and how they can help us work in a better environment together. One of the things we're really proud of in Sydney Metro is we've taken on a new approach to working with our design companies. Traditionally, we've worked and had multiple separate contracts. We now have an engineering design solution where we're partnering with Mott MacDonald's and a number of other key subcontractors. So again, that's working well. Again, it's bringing people from all across Australia and also across the world. We're being able to bring that expertise in to solve problems on our Sydney particular projects. BIM. Again, it's a bit of a byword. We've got 3D, and this is something where we're talking about geographical three-dimensional modelling. It's going to become more and more important, particularly to the rail family. Let's build it on the screen before we go out into the field. We're now looking very closely at 4D and 5D. So 4D is where you add the planning construction, 5D is where you put the budgetary in. We're beginning now to develop these models. It's given us a great benchmark on when we build new projects. We're also looking at future modelling. I think it's well within a view to imagine in a few years' time, you know, we'll have BIM 127, and you'll wonder what that is. It's probably some computer-aided device building things on site while we're in an office somewhere. Who knows? But I think digital modelling is going to be really important to the rail family, and I think we've got to embrace it. It's the new future. We can't just keep doing what we've done. We've got to embrace the new future. Something we're doing at the moment, I put this up not because the acronym is brilliant, which it is actually, DARE, but we've recognised that when you look around, we collect so much data. We're data rich, but we're information poor. So we recognise we've got to do a digital uplift. How can we get our systems and everything else conformed? How do we make sure that we learn from one project to another? So we're pushing ahead with this. And that's all about getting data, but making it usable, not just interesting stuff. So again, that's really important for us. And I think that is the end. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was quick. I've even got 2 minutes to spare, so I win my bet with my comms people, who thought I'd never get through 35 slides in 18 minutes. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to answering some questions. And hand you back to David.
Thank you, Tim. And it's really easy to miss the scale of Sydney Metro. I guess the art is to be invisible, a bit like ninjas going through the city, but when you see pictures like that, it really highlights how big that scheme is.